Hello, 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 hello. Good day once again, everyone. I am going to discuss another sample problem for algebra. This time, this is a solved worded problem. So let me share with you the problem. According to the problem, we have an engineer who was allowed to create an additional of a small bedroom to a house, but it should not be more than 15 square meter. So the engineer was allowed no more than 15 square meter to add a small bedroom to a house. And because of the room's design in relationship to the existing structure, the width of its rectangular floor should be 7 meters less than 2 times the length. And we are going to find the precise length and width of the rectangular floor of maximum area that the engineer is permitted. So looking at the sample problem, you would notice that we have to first be able to translate into equation the different words as presented in the problem. So if we start with, let us explain this one by one. So the engineer is allowed no more than 15 square meter. So meaning we are given a maximum area of 15 square meter. So that is the limitation that was given in the problem. And because of the room's design, relative to the existing structure, the width of the rectangular floor, so the width of the rectangular floor should be 7 meters less than 2 times the length. So if we are going to represent the length with L, okay, so if we are going to represent the floor length by L, then that means the width should be equal to, okay, so the width should be equal to 7 meters less than 2 times the length. So 2 times the length minus 7 will be the width. Okay, so that is the width of the floor. And take note that the width, the area, I mean, from the formula that we have for the area for the floor, it's simply width times length. So in solving worded problems such as this one, it is important and it is essential that you know how to translate the different phrases into mathematical equation. It's important that you know how to interpret the different words or the different phrases in the worded problem into a mathematical equation. So in this particular case, the given maximum area is 15 square meter, and that the length, if we are going to represent it with L, will be used in order to determine that particular area. The area for the rectangular section, for the rectangular floor, so this is the area formula for the area, is simply width times the length. So if we are going to solve for this problem, okay, so let us continue solving with the worded problem, because what we are going to find is the precise length and width. So that means we have to find W and we have to find also the length. So making use of the formula that we have here, this will be our first equation, while this one is our second equation. So the first equation represents the equation for the width, while the second equation represents the equation for the area. So using this formula for the area, and given that the maximum area is 15 square meter, so that means we also have to make use of this formula for the area. Area width times the length is equals to the maximum of 15 square meters. So in this particular case, if you are going to represent the value of W in terms of length, okay? So if you are going to represent the W in terms of length, then you would have here, okay? You would have here the formula for area will be equals to 15, 15 is equals to, the width is 2L minus 7, 2L minus 7, and you multiply it by the length. Again, going back into our worded problem, the first situation or the first condition is that the maximum area should not be more than 15 square meter. And then the second condition, the width of the rectangular floor should be 7 meters less than 2 times the length. So 2 times the length is 2L minus 7, that is 7 meters less than 2 times the length. So in this particular case, we have now this equation. And by the use of the formula for this particular equation, then we can continue. So if we are going to continue operating the equation, then we would have 15 is equals to 2L times L is 2L squared. Then negative 7 times L is minus 7L. So you would notice with the use of this equation, 2L squared minus 7L, if we are going to transpose to the other side of the equation, 15 minus 15, and then equate this to 0, then we will have an equation which is 2L squared minus 7L minus 15 is equals to 0. Further operating the equation, you can divide both sides of the equation with 1/2. Then we will have L squared minus 3.5L minus 7.5 is equals to 0. So you would notice that we can determine the value of L by the use of quadratic equation. This is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay. So with the use of quadratic equation, you will be able to find two answers here. So what you are going to use is the positive answer. And by the use of the quadratic equation, you may be able to determine that the value of L is equals to 5. So just to prove that the value of L is equals to 5, you can just substitute the value of L here. 5 squared minus 3.5 times L of 5 minus 7.5, it should be equals to 0. If this is proven, then that means that the value of L is equals to 5. So if you are going to take note of my computation here using the calculator with the use of the equation formula, the answer is equals to 5. And if you are going to also make use of the value of 5, substituting it to the equation, then we can prove that this equation is equals to 0, and that means L is definitely equals to 5. So if you are going to find for the W, all you have to do is to multiply. W is 2L minus 7. So 2 times 5 minus 7. And W is equals to 3. And do not forget to write down the unit. The unit for width is in meters, and the unit also in the of the length is in meters. Again, for you to determine the value of L here, you can make use of the calculator. So all you have to do is to make use of a calculator which you can, scientific calculator, which you can use the equation. So you can use the equation here for the calculator, and the equation will be the third equation. The value for A will be 1, and then the value for B is negative 3.5, and then the value for C is negative 7.5. So take note that, again, the answer is equals to 5, which we have here for the answer. So that's how you solve forwarded problem in algebra, and make sure that you know how to. It's important, as I have mentioned, it is important that you know how to translate the wordings in the problem into a particular mathematical equation. So that would be the end of my presentation. I shall see you in my next video tutorial. By the way, this is Dr. Ramela B. Ramirez once again. See you on my next video tutorial.